So this is a very quick recording to explain some of the benefits and features of MyMoneyPlatform software. So MyMoneyPlatform obviously designed for consumers to help them regain full control of their personal finance and insurance needs. Research has proven that up to 85% of millennials specifically want one place to manage all of their finances. But when you think of the amount of different banks we have and savings account, retirement plans, insurance companies, we must have about 10, 12, 15 different accounts. And all of them, yes, have their online service, but you're jumping in and out of each of those. And nobody really has a full control or full oversight. So this is why we have built MyMoneyPlatform. My background as a financial planner. I set about managing my own finances after I left the industry and was working in hedge funds and found that there was no solution out there for consumers. So I built out many spreadsheets that would help me control my finances, calculated them all into one spreadsheet, and then ran around and built in hypotheses so that I could give this software to my friends, my family, the wider network, to allow them to control their own finances. And therein, what we have done is we have essentially automated the financial planning handbook and the rules that go with financial planning. So we're allowed to apply scores to the health of somebody's individual's finances. And therein, because we can apply scores, we can actually go into our database then and pull out relevant text recommendations relating to them scores. So here now we have automated financial advice for consumers. So a lot of our focus has been on the actual customer experience side of personal finance, something that's typically very boring, mundane, and all too often people procrastinate and put it in a long finger because, face it, nobody is educated on personal finances. So when we get into our early 20s and early 30s and we have disposable income, we make mistakes. Thing is, these mistakes follow us through in our financial footprint. So what MyMoneyPlatform does is give control to the consumers and allows them to actually identify their needs and see what shortfalls exist or may exist in the future in their finances. So what we have done is taken control from the financial services industry and applied it to consumers through a very, very simple to use software. So the user signs up for free. The idea is that the platform is always free for consumers, and they're brought through to our dashboard here, which we can see now, which is a very simple snapshot of what is your personal finances. What are the main areas that you should actually focus on and consider? So our first tab that we can jump into here is our spending tab. And what this does, this allows you to actually add in your bank account, your current accounts, through account aggregation API that we use. And you'll see here that it pulls in all your transactions, where you're spending your money, and the software will actually auto-categorize your spending for you. So for example, if you wanted to change that, then you would just select a different category and the page would automatically update itself. So we can look in across numerous accounts as well, different banks, and we can look at either the last 30 days or anything up to the last 3 months. And what we're trying to do is present a beautiful overlay here for consumers, so it's really easy to engage with their finances. So we provide graphs as much as we can as well. But as we jump through the different platforms, our next one here is income. And what we're doing is we're looking at a little bit of data collection. And our data collection here is we can assess what their income is because we have access to their bank account. But if they want to adjust it, it's a very simple click and drag, or perhaps they can use the calculator to actually help the calculator or let the calculator help them compute what is coming in on an annual basis. We ask the user also what dependents they have, okay, because this obviously has a huge bearing on their life cover requirements as well as saving goals, perhaps for a college fund. So once the user adds in a dependent, we know that this is going to affect them later in life or perhaps even now. So if we put in here, let's say for example, SJ2, we can put in a date of birth, say it's a newborn, a couple of months old, and then we can even go and upload an image of our child. So obviously if you're on a mobile device here, then this could be just take a picture with your phone, or we'll just go and add a good picture of a baby here. So once we're done with that, we click submit, and now we'll see that we have 2 kids here, okay? So we can also enter in some ad hoc income as well, some bonuses that your bank account may not have picked up. It may be due in 6 months. And also what kind of cover they have in place, what kind of income protection cover. So have they enough that if they have to stop working, that their finances are protected, you know, as the disposable income, can they maintain that standard of living? So for example, you'll see up at the top as well, we have a health bar for each area, which is scoring the user's answers as we go through. So if the person, for example, didn't have you know, the full income protection, but only instead had maybe 50% cover, you'll see then that, or if they, like even better, if they took off their income protection policy altogether, and we refresh the page, it should refresh here automatically itself anyway. But you'll see that their score has actually decreased in this case, okay? So they've got a score which is quite low, and this text recommendation relates specifically to that score. So that gives the user an indication as to, okay, I scored low, why did I score low? And what should I do? Then a few bullet points and a simple video then just to explain the importance of income protection. So we can move through to the next stage then. We have a summary there as well that explains how much income cover they have. It just explains it in text and numbers, makes it simple for the user. So our next stage here is our pension, okay? So the user can simply tell us what pension they're already contributing to. So I'll run from old work. I'm not making any monthly contributions, but I know there's a balance there of about 25 grand. And I'm just going to save that in. Okay, so we'll just put in a minimal amount here. Okay, put in a minimal amount, and you'll see now, because of a new balance, that you may have seen that my health bar increased there, which is good. So what we're trying to do here is we're running scenarios. The consumer's running scenarios here to see, right, okay, my normal retirement age is 67. If I wait till then, I'll have an okay kind of a pension. It's 36% of my final salary from an employer as a pensionable income, but the market says that I should have at least 50%. And this is illustrated in the graph here. So if I want to retire earlier, you'll see that the situation gets even worse. You know, I've made up my mind, I want to be out by 61, but the software here is saying, well, wait a minute, that's only 10% of your expected final salary from your employer, which is this figure. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make up the difference yourself through additional voluntary contributions or a separate pension scheme. And also you'll see here that we have the tax-free lump sum accounted for. So the user will have to run a scenario and say, right, okay, how much am I going to have to contribute now? We can see here that it's 840 euros extra per month to put this graph into the green, and I put this pensionable income as 50% of their work or their income, final income from their employer. So that's what they're going to have to do to make up the shortfall. As it stands though, the pension health is quite low. So you get a small recommendation as to what you should do, a few points, and the video again. So the rest of these modules, they follow the same pattern. We ask a little bit of information. We illustrate the user's position as it stands today and what they can do in the future. If we jump into goals, I'll quickly run through this. We have our secondary goals, which is saving for a dog, saving for a car, wedding, baby. It can be any scenario. It might even be, you know, you're saving to pay towards something next month, like clear off an ASB bill or clear off a credit card. It can be anything you want. You simply click add a goal, put in your name. Again, you can upload an image for it. How much do you require? The current balance. You'll see here, if we require 25 grand as a deposit for a car, we've already saved 6,250 and I need it in 4 years. Once I tab out of that, it'll get a recommendation. If you want to hit this goal, this is what you're going to have to save on a monthly basis going forward to achieve that goal. So looking at one that we have already built in, you can see I've taken a picture of the car that I want. It's built into the background. It runs a few scenarios of low, medium and high risk funds and shows me when I'll hit my actual goal. If, for example, I came along and I'm already saving towards this and I wanted to edit, I've just got a bonus from work of 10 grand. So I just come in here and I'm currently contributing 500 a month, but now this 10 grand goes into my current balance because I'm putting that towards my car. And now I don't have to save 496, I only have to save 232 a month, which is brilliant news for me. I save that down and it refreshes my goal. Now I'm 71% of the way there, and now we can tag in the consumers and say, you know what, you're nearly there, you're nearly 3/4 of the way there. Let's keep it going. Every user will have a rainy day fund, because it's best advice that everyone should have an emergency fund of some sort. You know, how much you're saving towards this and when you're going to clear it down. We have picked up, you remember that we says we have 2 children, SJ and SJ2, I think we called them. And you see here into the college fund now, we have 2 college funds that are required. You know, people may choose to say, you know what, I'll deal with it at the time, that's grand. But this is painting a picture for the consumer to say, you know what, this is what you should be doing. You should be contributing towards a college fund for SJ, who's, you know, that he's going to be due in going to college in 17 years, the same, and SJ2 is a newborn, so that's going to be 18 years. So this is how much you need to save. What we've done is taken the cost of college today, and we index it over the amount of years until they're going there. So this is how much you should start saving. So it's always going to be there. And if the user doesn't start, we can always engage with the user to say, you know what, you haven't started that. We see you've got a bump in your pay, and you know, do you want to put it towards a fund? So we're running running off the mass amount of data that we actually have. So if we run into assets and debts, this is really a liquidity picture for consumers. So what assets do they have? What debts do they have? And you know, if they were to liquidate everything in the morning, would they be in the red or the black? It just paints a very simple picture for them. But here we can look at the prospect of the user going, you know what, I'm actually looking for a loan, you know, I'm in a bit of debt, and they can run a scenario here to say how much loan and when they could repay it, or how long they'd have to repay it for, what the monthly repayments are. And the same goes for a mortgage calculator, you know, because everyone will cross that at some stage, or the majority of people. So it allows them to run in a scenario. So it's basic at this stage for these calculators, but we can actually advance these as we go further down the line with the software. Then we come to life cover. We know that the user has dependents, so it's not just a matter of covering their needs. Now they have to cover the loss of income, or the potential loss of income to the household should something happen. So they may not want to cover 100% of their income, but they may want to do 90%, 75%, because if the person were to die, they wouldn't be around to actually spend that disposable income. So let's say 75%, the total life cover required is 1.5. They have life cover in place now, and again, we graphically represent this here for the consumer, because their life cover requirement will decrease over time. And let's say, for example, we take out a new policy and we put in Irish Life number 2 here. We put in that they've taken out a policy for 10 years, and let's say they took it for 500,000 and they're paying 83 a month. So simply save that, and you'll see now that my gap has closed. I only have a shortfall of 313,000, okay? So as you can see, we have scored each area of the person's finances, okay? We've done this through each of the different modules. When we come together in the action plan, we tie all these scores together to give the user one score for the overall health of their finances. Okay, so in this situation, the person has scored very low. You know, they're not planned yet for their pension. They are spending more than they're taking in on a monthly basis. They haven't got the right income protection. But how does the user get past this? So taking that score, this is always imprinted, and through our early testing and through our early adopters now, since we've launched a couple of weeks ago, then the person, every person is able to come back and tell me their score. I don't ask for it specifically, but they know, I didn't know I was that bad, or I'm actually in a pretty good place, but I know my score. But what the software automatically does then is says, right, okay, well, what you should do first, and what's going to get you the most points and what's most important, is do this priority number 1 first, then second, then third, so that the user has a plan in place. This is the quickest financial plan available on the market. But as we take this software further now, what we're going to be able to do is put in action points so that the user can say, you know what, I want to do something about this now. What can I do? And this is when MyMoneyPlatform aims to step in as well, to be able to say, this is step one, this is who you might look towards, or these are the steps that you're going to have to take. So very quickly, that is My Money Platform in a nutshell. Of course, we are more than happy to engage and to listen to as many questions and feedback as you guys have. So by all means, you can get me at Sean@mymoneyplatform.com. Touch base at any stage and we'll be happy to discuss further.